Hope you can all see me, and we've just arrived back from Johannesburg, and we drove in today. Where's that thing, Graham? And it's not
what thing was for?
the recording, bro. And I normally come home to a very happy, and I haven't briefed my team. They've just briefed me when I got home here. I normally come back to a very serene, happy team. It's not the case tonight. And it's not a case of they taking Anthony's side, because I'm their boss. I pay them a salary. And they are their own people in their own right. And that's the way my CEO and my staff, including Angus and AD and Tank, run my staff. I have never listened to, because I didn't want to interest myself in listening to the tape of Kevin Burden. The tape of Kevin Burden, I'm going to play it tonight. I know I said it was case closed, but obviously more things have come to light. I've been accused of wanting to gun the UIM. I know that whole speech today about being a Christian, etc., was directed at me and only at me. Once we've played the tape, my CEO has asked to address the public who know me, and then I'm going to address Neil de Beer and the UIM. It's time that I address them in no uncertain terms, that this former drug addict, alcoholic, is not going to be accused of things he hasn't done. If I'm guilty of what I've been guilty of in the past, I will stand my man for it, because I'm not a coward, I'm not a traitor. But I am not going to be violated on my faith by Neil de Beer or the UIM. I'm not going to be accused of wanting to bring down the UIM, because the UIM, in my eyes, is a non-entity. I'm angry when I come home, where my mother lives and my sister lives, and my staff are waiting for me to come home, and they are fuming. They would never go onto social media without my permission on this subject. I haven't listened to this tape, and I think it's time we all listen to this tape to get the bigger picture. The people on Neil de Beer's wall this morning said that I didn't apologize. I did apologize, accept the apology. I accepted it, but in principle, it was false. Now, I'm going to give Anthony Hall's version. I'm going to give you the CEO of RAEL's version, a registered NPO. UIM is not a registered political party. And then I'm going to give my version of the Bible to Neil de Beer. After what you spoke about me today, that my sister sent you a message when she said, Neil, remember saying in Anthony's house, you love me so, betrayed anyone to get money. I worked very hard for my money. And I'm not going to accept that my staff are angry and upset by the spokesperson of Kevin Burden, who should have resigned. Play that tape, Kurt.
Was to stand in that position and stand for president, you need somebody that knows something. Because to stand in that position and stand for president, you need somebody that knows something about economics, business, real business, okay, real business. He will never, I'm saying this publicly, he will never be president of South Africa. He cannot. Because he's not working with a bunch of drug addicts.
Okay, so he laughed at me. Let me tell you, Kevin Burden, what have you achieved in business? What have you achieved in economics? Come show me your banking account, I'll show you mine. What positions have you held in business? To laugh and say you're not working with a bunch of drug addicts. I didn't want to listen to this tape on purpose, because I knew what was going to happen. Because I'm used to working with a bunch of drug addicts. And real business. I've had this business for 13 years. I was a director of a retail store that operated right around South Africa. I was a murder and robbery unit detective. I was a drug squad detective. I was the head of Affin Bank investigation department. You want to talk about real business. And with that little giggle of yours. And then you give me a 2-minute apology to say if and think, I think. And then I get verbalized and humiliated today by people saying to me that I'm trying to bring the UIM down. Why would I want to bring the UIM down? You're a non-entity in my life. Like you said, concentrate on Malema and concentrate on Jacob Zuma and concentrate on Ramaphosa. But now that I've listened to the tape, I'm sorry. You can have all your well wishes on Neil's wall. Now I'm going to take legal action against you. I am going to screw you. Legally, I'm going to take legal action against you. Because I knew if I listened to that tape, there's going to be a very little love in my heart. And then I get my Christianity and my faith attacked this morning. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm older than both of you. You clearly lack respect for someone that's older than you. I built up my business by myself. I had no help. But God. My CEO wants to address you and I don't know what he's going to say because that's not the way we work at RAEL. At RAEL there's freedom of speech. There's not a bunch of sheep here. But I'm not coming back to my home after being away for a week and I'm going to have this viral and this horrible feeling that includes my sister who buried her son from drugs. Yes, Neil de Beer, you hugged my sister when she told you that she buried her son from drugs. Now that I've listened to the tape, I have got no hesitation. And I'll ask God to forgive me. And I will talk about judgment later, Neil de Beer. And I'll throw a Bible at you too. Mustn't think I'm stupid, man. I've got some of the best legal brains in the business behind me. Yes, we like preschool kids, Letham. That's right. Wait till you go bury a child. Wait till you go bury a child, Letham, and then you can come tell me it's like preschool kids. Because you also are nothing in my life. I will never be a weak man. And when he laughs there and says, oh, you'll never be the president of South Africa, well, I'll tell you on the record as well. Neil de Beer will never be the president of the Republic of South Africa. Never. Never. The Afrikaans people like me because I've done nothing wrong to them. The English people who are not liberals like me, I've done nothing wrong to them. I've done nothing wrong to the black people. And I've done nothing wrong to the colored people. And I'm taking into account, Neil, that you said we're friends, etc., and I should have phoned you. But you got a message at 10:10, and you answered a lady to say, it's sorted out, you've got it all under control. Why didn't you pick up the phone and phone me? Kevin Burden made it public the night before. So there was no need for a private apology. There was the need for a public apology. I take back, and I'm going to ask God for forgiveness. Kevin Burden, I'm going to sue you in the UIM. I've got a lot of advocates. And I'll show you what business is like. I'll show you, Kevin Burden, what the place that I built up because your leader of your party has been entertained in my house. So is his bodyguards. And so is his staff been entertained in my house. Now I'll be falling into nothing for them. Please don't tell me what to do. I will stand for president of this country, which I told you I'll do. But I will never be weak and allow people to insult any member of the public, even if it had to come, and which I would go absolutely insane about, if someone had to insult someone that has got a mental handicap. I'd make sure they're jailed. You will not insult drug addicts, you will not insult people that have mental handicaps, and you will not laugh at me, Kevin Burden, that I know nothing about economics. I'm 57 years old. I think I've achieved more in my life than you. I've got more in my life than you've got. And if you'd like to prove me wrong, I'm quite open to that. You meant to deride, as a pastor, you meant to defame drug addicts. That's what you meant. And I've been working with addicts now for 30 years. And after listening to the tape, I have no hesitation in taking legal action against him. And I'll ask God for forgiveness. And people sending me messages today, I'm trying to bring the UIM down. No, I'm not. But I'm not going to be called a hypocrite. And I'm not going to have a Bible thrown at me. And I'm not going to have a friend of mine, Wayne Koch, insulted by Neil de Beer. I'm not 12. Where's Kurt?
Mr. Schuler.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Yeah, you know, I think it's very unfortunate that I wish I was where Mr. Hall is with his way of life and lifestyle, that I could just accept and not internally be on fire and shake when I heard that. Because that man doesn't hear the phone calls of mothers crying. He wants to talk about economics. Does he have any idea what corruption, what businesses, why there is poverty, and what it's got to do with addiction and drugs and the drug trade, and how much crimes are related to the taxpayers' money of the people in prison because of drugs? Does he know how it affects families?
You know that the addict that was meant to come today committed suicide.
Maybe if we had a little bit more help from our pastors. When I got back from my 2 days off doing interventions and things like that, I go back through my messages, and we're an organization that tries to help as far as what we can. I was saddened today when I followed up on an inquiry and I asked a lady, I said, ma'am, after I sent you the application forms, how is your son doing? What is the situation that you never got back to us? Is there some way that we can help? Has he found help? Is he making progress? And the woman broke down and said he doesn't need help anymore because he committed suicide on Tuesday. I can tell you now, that if it weren't for the affiliation with me to Mr. Hall and to RAEL, the outcome of that statement and my actions would have been totally different. The outcome would have been totally different. Because without this organization, and when I say RAEL and Anthony Hall is the same thing. Without this organization, there would have been a whole lot of more dead addicts and addicted people. So I can't truly say what I feel, because I'm held back by spiritual principles at the moment that I best try and practice. And out of respect for Mr. Hall and his page. Me, I was a drug addict. Because the system and politics and economics failed me. I'm quite educated as well. I've got a certificate and diploma in professional cookery and culinary skills. I got a distinction for both of them. Worked at top hotels and restaurants across this country. Lived in almost every province. I didn't only do drugs. I studied, and while I was studying, worked 2 jobs at a time. But the system failed me because they took God out of schools. Ons maak vir this pastor to go say that on the Cape Flats to the mothers over there.
Mas kan my stukke tes. Uitskiet. Hoe Engels?
And I can honestly say that I get between 30 and 100 phone calls a day of parents. And in every aspect of every business, the taxpayer, the tire shop on the corner, the pakkie shop on the corner, the people in the locations, the people in Camps Bay, everything is affected by drug trade and drug addiction. And the fortunate part about me sitting here tonight, I done drugs for about 20 years because I went into it ignorantly. I didn't put my hand up in the classroom in Sub A and say, I want to become a drug addict one day. It just happened. If there was prevention the way we try and prevent nowadays by speaking at schools, by interacting with parents, maybe the outcome would have been different. But I can honestly say that out of a group of 12 very close knitted friends, that there's 2 of us that are left alive. Car accidents, suicides, murder, overdose, being found dead along the side of the road, organ failure. And what happens when a country goes into distress? What does history say about that? What does history say about when there's an amphetamine pandemic, like the way the Turk hit the Western Cape 15 years ago, that there's an opiate pandemic afterwards? What's happening with the nyope, the unga, the heroin, the fentanyl? I didn't only do drugs, man. So thank you to this organization. Not politicians, not businesses, not pastors hung on to my life when I couldn't even hang on, but the RAEL organization did. And like I said in last night's live share, why is it okay if you have a bad experience at the corner fisheries to say don't go buy fish and chips there because it doesn't taste well, rather go to other fisheries? Why is it okay to say that, but it's not okay to say I've been to 10 other rehabs before and I've been to a couple of correctional facilities and 1 or 2 madhouses? I'm not selling RAEL here. I'm trying to sell hope to the family that suffers. Maybe people should go do a background check on the spider web of addiction. I've had the privilege of coming into a center with 30 other men. Their families have to go on and recover from a government that wasn't run correctly. If the economics and business was run right, there would have been less addicts to start off with. But all I can say as a person that tries my best to practice the Christian principles and faith, which we will always fall short of, is thank you, God, for Anthony Hall and RAEL.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Adrian John Kamuti. I'm a recovering addict, empowering lives. Yes, you heard correct, Kamuti. Family of Phila Second. That's my ancestors right there. Come from a very, if I go into my roots with my family and everything like that. But I don't want to be long. I don't want to say much. I just have one thing to say about Mr. Hall and what he's done for me in my life. Because I see people are talking about him, and people will always talk, people will always have something to say, you know. But what they're saying is not the truth, man. This man took me off the streets. Now I come from the Cape Flats. I come from the Cape Flats, man. Now, Pastor Kevin, I want to ask you one question, sir. You got all this business degrees and everything like that, whatever you studied, whatever you've done, that's fine and that's okay. I will send someone to your house to come pick you up tonight and go drop you in the Cape Flats. Tonight, now, this time. And then you see how far that business degrees, whatever you studied, whatever you did, will bring you in the survival when it comes to the streets, man. Yes, I passed with a matric with a B, a bachelor's degree. I studied on UCT. I did a year course with him where I got my certificate in business commercial. But when it comes to the streets, sir, you will not survive long. You don't know Mr. Hall's background and his history, where he's come from. You want to speak about business. Look how hard that man worked to get to where he is, that he's saving lives today, man. He's in the business of saving lives, and it's not even a business because it's not even about money. Because how can you put money on someone's life like me? That comes from nothing, from the streets. Did drugs, stole, robbed, done the whole trip, stole from people, broke into houses, eh? I didn't have to go to prison to be in a prison, man. This man's door was open for me. He's not a betrayer. He's not someone that stabs people in the back. He doesn't talk crap about anybody. Mr. Hall does his thing. He does what he does. His door is still open for the still suffering addict that's out there, even when people said that he wouldn't make it, man. He pushed through and he persevered because God had a calling on his life. Who are you to stand in the way of God's calling when it comes to a man's life to doing what he's doing? Hey? You want to speak about being a pastor? Hey? Come to the Cape Flats, man, and preach that to the people of how much people this man has helped on people on the Cape Flats. That the door is still open, man. Hey? I got a sister that's out there that's on the streets now. That's probably taking a last fix. That's probably selling a body for a next fix. You want to speak about drug addicts, sir? Hey? It makes me angry and upset, man. You don't know people's circumstances and where they come from, eh? You just want to say what you want to say, sir. You just want to do what you want to do because you're speaking from behind a camera. It's easy to do that. Take your camera and go to the Cape Flats and see what's happening there. And then you see how a helping hand has been put out for this man that puts his hand in his pocket of how much people he helps on that Cape Flats, man. From people that have nothing. Hey? You want to judge people that he doesn't help people. He's got a calling in his life. Who are you to stand in the way of that calling? You are not God, sir. You are not God. This man has been chosen by name to do what he's doing this evening, and you think you're going to come and ram us down and break him down, and we are just going to sit here and smile and laugh for that. There's no words for you, sir. I can only pray for you. I hope that God somehow shines a light to you, that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Why do you want to be against a man that's saving lives, eh? Why do you want to speak crap about a man like that? About what him and Mr. Curtin, the effort that they put in and everybody on this farm to help people out there. I don't even speak about RAEL on the farm specifically because RAEL is out there with the people also, with everybody that's supporting us over here. Now you want to speak crap about the man. It's so easy to sit behind a camera and say what you say, but do the actions, man. Do what Mr. Hall does. Hey? Do what he does, man. You can't even come close to his shoes. You haven't been called to do that, sir. Pray and ask God, what is your calling in life? And stop ramming people down that's trying to do the next right thing here. I come from nothing, sir. I've worked hard also to get where I'm at this point. I'm not going to let a man like you break me down. I've done that enough to myself. It's done and it's over. We all stand together and have backbone to stand up for what is right. And what you said about Mr. Hall is not right. And all drug addicts that is out there on the streets. The one that's being introduced to the drug now, and the last person that is taking the drug now as well. What about the baby that's been born in active addiction? What about that family that has nowhere to turn to? The small child that is now running around at this time of the night, doesn't know where their parents are, looking for something to eat. And then you get a man like Mr. Hall that drives into areas like that and helps people. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen Mr. Hall take his own sweater off his body and give it to someone. I've seen it with my own eyes. And it's not about money. It's not about business. It's not about politics, man. You can't study or ask someone when you have heart. Mr. Hall has been given a heart, a renewed heart. Like the book of Romans says, man. The renewal of the mind, the renewal of the heart. The calling has been chosen by name. You're not going to stand in the way of that, sir. You think it's going to get to us for you doing what you're doing? It does nothing to us. We're still going to be here. We're still going to do what we have to do. But we have something to say about what you said, which is not true. Not with Mr. Hall. Not with Mr. Kurt. Not for what RAEL stands for. Reuniting lives. I have a mother that's now there, out there, that is wondering where her daughter is. I saw my sister last week when I was at home. I went to go fetch her out of the slums, out of a Nova Park. What do you know about a Nova Park, man? Go walk there this time of the night with you and take your degree out and your certificate, and you see who's going to survive. I promise you, take me there. You can take me somewhere to your area, wherever it is you stay. I don't know where you live, sir, and drop me in the hardest location where you stay. I will come out alive. I will come out alive. But let me go drop you quickly there in Lavendale. Sea winds. Then we see, we compare the two with your bachelor's, whatever degree of business and politics, and see how far is that going to get you. If the Owen says you hospag and misa who like no visay, what are you going to say? There's no certificate or graduate certificate that's going to get you out of that, man. Don't judge people, man. Don't judge for what Mr. Hall's done. He saved my life through the grace of God that I'm sitting here this evening to still carry the message to the still suffering addict. Because you never know when maybe, I don't speak this upon anybody's life, but maybe someone in your family might need the help that Mr. Hall has to offer. And you know the way I know Mr. Hall, he will help me. Because you know why? That's his calling on his life. You have no right and no authority to stand in the way of what this man is doing. I'm not going to allow it. All of us here are not going to allow it, sir. Yeah, drug addicts still and raw people, say what you say. You're speaking of a man that you used to know. Mr. Hall turned me into a different man that I am today. That I now serve God and I live for God. I do everything. I listen to Mr. Hall. I didn't listen to him in the beginning. I went out there, I also spoke crap. I came back and his door is still open for me. And it will always be open to the still suffering addict that's out there. You're not going to ram a man down. Not for what he's done. Not for what he's busy doing. So that's all I want to say from my side, sir. Just think about what I'm telling you. With all your degrees and everything. If you want to go take that and boast about politics and stuff like that of what you've studied, you can't. Look here, I passed matric with a bachelor's degree, man. I also studied on UCT. But all those things mean nothing when God takes you through a trial in your life that you have to go through to get you to the point where you are now. Then you see who really survives, sir.
Okay, that's two of my staff, my CEO, and one of my staff who works weekends on the farm and he works weekdays AD at a big company in Worcester. The rest of my staff want to speak. There's 9 of them. But I think I will leave that for another day. It's unfortunately it came to this position, and I will stand for president, and I have the belief because God called me. I know about whatever I know about, but I can guarantee you that any president of every country doesn't know about everything. They've got advisors. They've got advisors. Presidents do not make they make the final decisions, but the decisions are already made for them. Otherwise, why would they have a minister of health? Why would they have a minister of justice? Why would they have a minister of home affairs if they were going to take all the decisions? So I think I want to just explain here quickly of why this is very important to me and why when I came home that my staff were not happy. I think they were not happy with me. And my CEO Kurt Schuller spoke to me and he said, Mr. Hall, I'm not happy. And I thought, wow, what's going on here now, bro? I thought you got a good job, you got a good salary, you got everything in life. And he said, I'm not happy with the way you handle Kevin Burden in the UIM. Well, in my life, like I was taught by my dad, my staff come first. So that is hence the reason we came onto this platform, to put their side of the story. Angus, let's come here, please. People just want you to talk here. I'm going to introduce you to the man who looks after my mother, Angus. Now he wants to. You're asking for him to speak. Here he is.
He's about your brother too.
Evening, everyone. Okay, I don't wanna say a lot. He spoke about drug addicts. Now, I'm a full tuck-up and I'm a full man drugs addict. And what not only Mr. Hall, but also his girlfriend has done for me. I'm a qualified carer with a distinction, all through Mr. Hall. And I just want to say to this fake pastor, my father is a real reverend. He's a real reverend. He studied 6 years to be a reverend. So congratulations on all the cuck that you spoke about us as drug addicts. At least we know the real world.
Yeah.
And we know a new world. And I just want to leave you with something that will maybe help you in the future, because you're a very weak pastor. I just want to say, een en elke nommer wat sy afgehaal het, gaan nie net ek, maar die ouens wat ook drugs gebruik, gaan het toemaak met saluut. En hulle gaan 'n lewendige kapsabel op jou matambos lig. Hy noem Pankela 7.
Okay. All right, so yeah, it's disturbing, and why I'm bringing this up, there's just two things before we chat, is that then I saw my sister crying. I went into her room and she was crying, and I said, what's it about? She said, I miss my son. Now let me explain to some people who don't know me, and people that don't know me, I was mainly an alcoholic. I used a bit of drugs, you know, not enough to make my teeth fall out, as we saw on a post last night. I used a bit of drugs, but not heavy stuff. I wasn't really into drugs. I was very thirsty in my life. And that's why I drank a lot. On the 4th of April, 2005, my mother came into my room, because she was still fine then. She could still walk, and she was still my mom. And she said, your nephew, David, is dead. I said, no ways. She said, Anthony, David is dead. David was a successful businessman. Maybe too successful. And he took his life on a Sunday night. They found him on the Monday morning with his tongue hanging out halfway from Uitenhage to Worcester. That was the 4th of April 2005. I have spoken at more funerals of drug addicts around this country than any other human being living in South Africa. I have spoken at funerals of addicts that have been held in top hotels, including the Lord Charles. I have spoken at funerals, excuse me, of addicts that mothers and fathers didn't know that their children were addicts. My sister has just come out of a horrific ordeal where she tried to take her own life, like her son. And on the 4th of April, when my mother came through there crying, I didn't stop using alcohol. I carried on. And now we must listen very carefully to Anthony Hall. I don't care what you think of me. It's none of my business. I will run this country, and I will run this country properly, because between my shoulders is a big heart for people. And on the 28th of June 2005, I walked into the garage where a black man who used to stay at our house for 16 years, he was with me, Marius Lalwa. He used to light the joint and we used to have a drink together before we went to work. We had a little painting business. Before that, I was the director of a national retail stores. And I walked in to take my beer and my joint for the day. And I took the beer. And my sister's sitting right here in tears. Right here she's sitting. Listen to me, Kevin Burden. Listen to me now.
I said, no.
Now, you come and look at what it's like of a mother who had to bury her child. Come look. You're on my wall. And I walked in there. And I was drinking. And there was that much left. And this was the glass. But I was in a Smirnoff Spin, was my last drink. And I put it down. And I tried to pick it up again. And I could not. God had finally said to me, take up your calling. That was 15 years, 7 months, and 14 days ago since I had a drug or a drink over these lips. I opened RAEL up in the memory of my nephew that died and of Lisa Lockett and of a friend of my ex-wife. This is my young nephew, Kevin Burden. Would you like to bury your child? That is me at his graveyard. Look at that, Kevin. 29. 29 years old. Look at it very carefully. You think drug addicts can't amount to anything? Well, I can tell you one thing, Kevin Burden. Some ex-drug addicts have grown to be the greatest men and women that this earth has ever seen. Did you know that the greatest statesman of all time, Winston Churchill, was an alcoholic? Did you know that? Did you know that George Bush, one of the leaders of the United States of America, was an alcoholic? Did you know that? And he'd been sober for many years before he took over the Oval Office. This is not the way you treat people, Christian or not. It's united a country, this. I'm telling you, since that pathetic statement by yours, Kevin, while you laughed, and you laughed at me. If you had laughed in my face 16 years ago, I would have broken your neck, I guarantee you. I guarantee you that. But I don't do it today. I don't lift my hands to anyone. But when I heard that laugh tonight, you brought up a lot of memories for me. You brought up the fail gedagte of Anthony Hall, the Pagamize gedagte. I wasn't a top boy in gangs because I was scared. You have united a country behind me, Kevin Burden. The amount of calls and the messages we've received today of people that are going to support me in this road to the union buildings, you have caused. You have cost the UIM at least 60% of their votes. Because the leadership did not take a decisive role and fire you. And we will never forget this. I can forgive you but never forget you. But to me to come into my home after being away for a week and I haven't seen my girlfriend, and the time is now 9:15, so I'm not going to see it because we got curfew. That I haven't even seen my girlfriend I'm marrying shortly because I had to come and sort out my house here is uncalled for. I will take legal action on behalf of myself and every addict that's going to stand behind me. I will have a class action against you. And that money will not come to me, Kevin Burden, because remember, I know nothing about economics. I'm calling on Neil de Beer again. I'm giving you till 11 o'clock tomorrow morning to fire Kevin Burden. If you do not fire him, I'll instruct my attorneys who've got all the details in Pretoria to go ahead and launch a civil suit. You are not going to play with drug addicts who are in recovery. In actual fact, You're not going to play with drug addicts who are still using. Because if our government had done anything, like when I come into power, there'll be free drug addiction places and drug recovery places for the people. Must never, never, ever judge a person without looking at the background of people. Kurt Pretorius was almost dead when he came to me. He's now my CEO, who earns, I think, a bigger salary than you do. I don't know if you got a job. You're an absolute disgrace, Kevin Burden. After listening to the tape for the first time tonight, you are an absolute disgrace. And to laugh and make out that I'm some kind of a fool. But let me tell you one thing, my brother. 16 years ago, I was on the park bench. And you know why the people will prefer a president like me? Because we wear our heart on our sleeve and we will take action and we will do what is necessary for the Republic of South Africa. We won't allow our people to be belittled. We won't allow our people to be frowned upon. And we won't allow our people to be spoken to like they're a piece of rubbish. Never will that happen. And for the people say I'm trying to bring down the UIM, I didn't answer you, I'll answer you now. How can I try and bring down the UIM? What would be my motive? The UIM brought itself down yesterday. I don't have to bring down the UIM. I haven't got a beef with Neil and I haven't got a beef with the UIM. But I do have a lot of friends in the UIM. I'm the only man that stood up for Neil for 5 months. When the whole country was attacking him. And then he wants to come tell me this morning about judging. Let me tell you about judging. There is somewhere in the Bible, I haven't got a Bible like Neil, he flashed the big Bible this morning that he got from Graham Power. When your brother does wrong, the Bible clearly says this. This is not judging. This is the Bible. This is the word of God. When your brother does wrong, go warn him. If he does it again, go warn him. If it's the third time, walk away. That's not judgment, Neil de Beer. What you did today and yesterday, you lied about me when you said that you didn't know about it. That's a lie because I can prove it. It's just past 10 o'clock in the morning. You judged me, and through a Bible, you judged one of my best friends when he made a simple comment. And you said, come for me, come for me, come for me. Well, why don't you come here, Neil? He is here. My best friend is here from Johannesburg. And you can have it out. Like I said, I don't have any beef with you, Neil. But I think your leadership today and yesterday was weak. And that doesn't bode well for any person who wants to stand for the President of South Africa. And that's very true. I introduced the UIM to South Africa, not you. I can prove it.
Look, I'm just working up nothing.
I will lead this country. I will take counsel from people in this country. I will stand up for people that want a better life. I will never ever allow. I'll never ever allow anyone to be belittled. I know drug addiction, I know Alzheimer's, and I know dementia. I may not know business, but I've traveled the world. I may not know business, but I've got a rehab farm that is mine, paid for fully. I may not know business, but I've got a couple of vehicles, paid for fully, not by the ANC or by the National Party, but by me. I've got 9 people on my staff roll that I pay their salaries. That I pay their salaries. I'm not sponsored. But if you want to trust God, you must trust God in all things. Because the Bible, the pages in the Bible are dead. Faith without works is dead. Judging was done by your national spokesperson, Kevin Burden. It wasn't done by me. So you should have given him that lecture. Not the lecture that you tried to give me today, my friend Neil. You should have given Kevin Burden the lecture. You shouldn't have taken your anger out on Wayne Koch, because he's a very wealthy businessman. Or doesn't he know about business now? He's a wealthy businessman from Johannesburg. So why should you deride him and try and defame him when he's making a comment? Don't you believe in freedom of speech, Neil? I will lead this country back from the abscess it is now, with good, solid people around me. And even if I know nothing about economics, which I do, all I have to do is, like the presidents of other countries, employ advisors. That's what they do. Consultants, advisors, ministers, deputy director generals, supervisors, managers, manager directors. That is the chain of command. And when there, okay. Sorry about that, but it froze up. I apologize. And yeah, Facebook is playing up tonight. I humbly apologize. And that filthy pig who came on there and said about the big dick, you know, he thinks that I'm going to lose my temper with him. Now I'm not going to. Because from now onwards, you're going to see the man that's going to lead you in 2024. You're going to see the man that's going to lead you in 2024. So it's good to be home. It's good to see my mother. Yes, Werner. And this is not an attack on Neil de Beer or the UIM that I've been accused of. I didn't attack them. He should have read, I don't know if it blanked out before that, but what I wanted to say. The part on judgment should have been put to Kevin Burden. Why did you judge addicts and their families? Why did you judge Anthony Hall? What has he done to you besides getting you into the UIM? Remember that, Kevin? I got you into the UIM. Do you remember that, Kevin? I got you into the UIM. That's right. Oh no, they won't get it right to antagonize me, because I've been around a block. I've been around many blocks. And most of the blocks I've been around is the blocks of my own. By the grace of God. There's a lot of people in pain tonight in South Africa about the running down of addicts. Hello, Pastor Rafik. Thanks, Pastor. I will not lose it here for the undignified people. Thank you, Cheryl. I will not do it. I'm going to lead you people. I'm going to lead you, my friends. And the people that who are not on Facebook, who total plenty more, have been calling for this day for a long time. I've been battling with it. I've been battling with it. I didn't want to take up the calling. So I think I'm going to put this categorically. If I don't get Kevin Burdett fired by 11 o'clock tomorrow, because remember, none of the UIM people get paid. They all do it voluntary. So if he gets fired, he doesn't lose his salary. I'd never want something to happen like that to him. None of them get paid. None of them get paid. So I've got a lot of friends in the UIM. So fire him by 11 o'clock. I'll launch civil action against him. And I'll teach you what judgment means. And I'll teach you what respect means. That you will never ever run down an addict again in your life. Or an alcoholic. Because addiction and alcoholism. Thank you, Pastor. I'll tell them. Thank you very much, my brother. So you don't mind, I'm going to have a cigarette, because I feel like what? I'm going to be hitting the cigars in the president's office.
Oh boy.
And when I got home, the Queen was sleeping. And thank you, Stephanie. And the Queen is still sleeping. And I can't wait. We haven't had supper yet. We're going to have supper at about 10 o'clock. And I won't get to my bint just to go say hello. It's fine. It's no problem. We just like dropped off the clock there and left. So there's no time for business. Blackstone cigars. Carol and I've never heard of that. Have you, my brother? Okay. Yes, every family in this country and this world has an addict. Every family and in this country and this world has an addict. Do you remember, you know that you can be addicted to your plants? Wendy Ace. Hi Wendy, what a wonderful woman. Eh? Okay, Portia. Rosanna, my mother is about 40 meters away from me. Please don't tell me to stop smoking because the doctor tells me once a month. Anthony, don't you think you should just stop smoking? I'll say, no, you stop your red one, I'll stop smoking. But it doesn't hassle her. She's cool. Hello, Malcolm De Beer. Thank you very much for hosting us. Well done. And thank you for introducing me to that tycoon from Witbank, that very, very rich man that I know nothing about economics. Thank you very much that we could have a discussion. And well done on your deal that you did today. When we come up to Joburg again next Wednesday, I think you can put us up in the Santon Sun. Is that the nice hotel? Or what's
Michelangelo.
The Michelangelo. Mally, you made a lot of money today. So I roll with tycoons. So Mally, we long time friends. So you'll put myself and Wayne and Michael and Graham.
Welcome. I love you, my brother.
Sweet. No. You can speak after. And you can put me up at the all us up at the Monte Carlo, please, Malcolm. The Monte Casino, and no bins allowed.
No, the Michelangelo. Michelangelo.
The Michelangelo.
Michelangelo.
Thank you, Mick. And Elma's always talking about alcohol. She's got a problem. How's it, Elma? Hey, you're the nicest person, nicest lady I've ever met in Witbank. Seriously, your husband Derek, you're an absolute lady. What? Like obviously I haven't met all of Witbank, but you're an absolute lady, Elma. Absolute lady. Yeah, the curfew is at 11. Yeah, Caroline, we missed the music. Michelle, love you. Anthony David Hall, you're a friend in a million, regardless of where your future may lead. As a president, I support you 100%, but your love for your men is what I admire more than anything else. Thank you, Michelle. That's beautiful words. Thank you. And Natalie, Natasha, Jackie, thank you, my darling. Kathy. I'm a grandpa addict. Have fun. Make a plan then, my brother. Make a plan then, my brother. Grandpa addiction can come one of the worst prescription drug addictions. No, Vernon, I will never become boring because the people are tired of boring. They've had boring for 100 years. Now it's about respect and discipline. The president won't have to speak because you'll be on the ground with the people. Thanks, Elsabe. Hello, Anime Driver. Hello, Saras. Angus, please come answer the pastor. I can't understand what he's saying. He's using gang language. I don't use that anymore. Not allowed to. I have to talk properly.
Pagamisa, pastor. Salute ya. Hy noem ons sal hom spier wat werk. Ons moet hy noem 'n spier wat werk. Hoekom laat die glase van die Frans en die kangagas op ons? Maar ons is wat ons in Dodas is. Ons weet hoe om sulke skrifte te werk. Hy pak hom Misa pastor 6-7.
I'm surrounded by gangsters. Don't need bodyguards there. I've got these boys around me. Wonderful boys. Wonderful boys. Thank you, Bonnie. No, it's all right, Dr. Ellen. You can express yourself, especially tonight. You can express yourself. You're a doctor. You're a qualified woman. You're an educated woman. I'm sure you know something about economics. Your late husband had big businesses and big organizations, and you can express yourself. Thanks, Karen.